Hello, MavMind Collective, and welcome to another episode of the Hypnosales Show. Today I'm going to be talking about the 3 ways you can be hypnotized. We're all hypnotized every day, whether we know it or not. But I've had a lot of people ask me over the years, Maverick, is it really real? Does it really work? Or I've even had some people say, I've gone to a hypnotist, but they weren't able to hypnotize me. Like I'm not hypnotizable. I can't be hypnotized. That's what they say. And I'm going to tell you right now, that's a myth. That's not true. We are hypnotized all day long, all the time. We go from trance to trance to trance to trance our whole entire life. We're just not aware that that's what's happening. But it's true. We're being hypnotized all the time. The reason why a hypnotist isn't able to hypnotize you is because all of us communicate different ways, and we might need a different method. The method that the hypnotist was using wasn't effective for you. It might be totally effective for me, but it may not be effective for you. So you're not hypnotized by that particular method. So really good hypnotists know that there's more than one method. Similar to the fact that we all know when we take these personality tests, like Briggs-Myers and some of these other things that you have to take, or you want to take to try to figure out what type of personality you have. Typically you fall into one of 4 quadrants. If you ever, you know what I'm talking about, like these different quadrants, you fall into one. Usually the result is you're an ITSJ or INFP or whatever, right? And it puts you in a quadrant. And so that's because we all communicate and think differently, and we model things differently. And so that's why our personalities are in these 4, one of these 4 areas. So a hypnotist will typically know the 3 or 4 ways to hypnotize someone that matches those quadrants. So based on the questions, when they ask you a lot of questions and they interview you in the beginning, if they're good, they'll interview you and they'll figure out which quadrant you're in, and then they know, okay, now I know which method to apply to hypnotically induce a trance in this person, because it's going to be different for this person that needs this method versus Maverick who needs this method, or you need this method. So that's the difference. And that's why you probably weren't hypnotized before, because the hypnotist did not know that. And there are a lot of hypnotists out there that only know one way to hypnotize. That's it. I've been trained, I've been certified, I've learned all the ways, and most really good hypnotists know all the ways to do this. So, and if you think about it, even if you're in sales or you're in a customer-facing role, you probably sell the same way, and you have to realize your customers may want you to sell them a different way because their personality. So in some ways, to be really good, you also need to understand how to adapt and have different ways to sell different people. And if you're good, you know what I mean. You've figured out different ways to approach based on their personality. So if that's resonating with you, if that's making sense to you, understand that hypnosis is the same kind of way. You have to adapt it in the right way. So there's 3 ways to be hypnotized, and I've already alluded to some of them already in the preamble here. The first one is environment. So we are environmentally hypnotized all day long. And what I mean by that is everything we do in our environment, there's things environmentally inducing a trance in us all the time. And if you have a cell phone or smartphone right now, or you're in front of an iPad or something, you're probably being, like right now, you're watching me. I'm hypnotizing you in some ways because I got your attention. You're looking at me and you may not be paying attention to something that's going on around you right now because you're wanting to learn and you're listening to me. You're zoning everything out. So think of it like as a state of focus. You're focusing all of your attention on one thing, and the environment can be doing it. Another way that environment can induce a trance is maybe if it's a pretty scene, like if you're looking at the clouds or beautiful view, if you've ever gone on vacation or you just found yourself, suddenly you turn and you look and you go, wow, this is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. Like just some scene or something catches your eye, a bird or a squirrel or something that gets you, squirrel, you like watch it and then suddenly you find yourself tranced by it. And you're focused on it. Or like for me, when I see an anthill and I see a bunch of ants, for a moment I'll look at that and I'm just fascinated by the anthill. I'm just like tranced by it. So that's what I mean by environmentally induced trances all day long, going from your iPhone to driving to seeing a beautiful scene. You get to work and you get to your cube, and then suddenly you find yourself looking up at the ceiling. You're thinking about like what I got to do today, and you're thinking in your mind. You're trancing in your mind because there's so much noise going around at your job or something. And then someone starts to have a conversation in another cube, and then you overhear it, and all of a sudden you're tranced by that, and they can't see you, but you're listening to them. You're tranced by it all the time. Whatever gets your attention and gets your focus, it's hypnotically happening to you. That's what's happening. Your subconscious is telling you to pay attention to that thing and not something else. So that's environmentally induced. That just naturally happens all day long, all the time. So if you believe you've never been hypnotized, trust me, you've been hypnotized. If you've done any of these things I just said, or other things that you're thinking right now, I've also done these other things too, that have been environmentally induced as well. Now, heterogeneous, that means someone else. That's a person. It means that someone else can hypnotize you. Like what I do with my clients, I help them drop down in what they call dropping down into a state of trance, or relaxing and it's more clinical. It's a clinical approach. It takes a little bit longer. It's like 20 minutes. 20 minutes to really just relax their mind and even relax their body physically. Usually they lay down or sit down or whatever, and you relax them and you get them into a trance. And that's usually when you want to go a little bit deeper, when you want the alpha to go to beta and theta waves. You want to get deeper into simulating a state of sleep. That's why they say sometimes it's like going to sleep, like you sleep. If you've ever seen a hypnotist, they go, sleep now, sleep. It's not really sleep, like whenever you're unconscious, but your subconscious knows the word sleep and knows to associate that with being in a trance and being in a deeper state of mind. And it's really, in some ways, it's more of a focused state. In fact, it's more like a hyper focus, I would say, more than being like sleeping and being unconscious and oblivious. You're actually paying attention, hypertension, even more hyper focused, super focused, and listening to everything. And everything has meaning at a much deeper level. And so that's why you want to induce in a more clinical sense, a deeper trance with someone else doing it, someone else talking to them, communicating with them, helping them to listen, and then to drop into this deep state of hyperfocus. What they say sleep, but they mean hyperfocus. And so that is the second way you can be hypnotized, someone else doing it. If you've ever seen someone give a speech, and they just suddenly, you're just like caught on every single word, and because of the way they speak, their mannerisms, right? Usually they're breaking the pattern, what's called breaking the pattern, which I'll talk about in another video. But that's usually one technique they'll use, is they'll break the pattern, and then they'll just use a pattern that is majestic, or that is just something about it that gets your attention, and you pay attention, even if they slow down. You pay attention to every word, every single word, like that, right? So just by changing the tone, and they induce the trance because of how they deliver it, their method of doing it. So that's the second way. The third way is self-hypnosis. So this is the way I'm most used to, because I do my own self-hypnosis, and I help others to come up with their own self-hypnosis. And in the next video, I'll probably show you more on that. But this is where you do it yourself. And you can do it different ways, but it's really taking control and basically talking to yourself. You talk to yourself. Instead of someone else heterogeneously talking to you and you trusting what they're saying, you're just talking to yourself, or you're listening to a recording of yourself, and then you listen to that. And if you're consistent and you do that once a day or something, you start to auto-suggest the things to yourself. You start to get underwater, like the scuba diver, like I talked about in the last video. You get scuba diver, goes underwater into the iceberg that's underwater, that's your subconscious, and it starts, each time you do it, you're trying to take the crack at breaking the subconscious rock in half or in pieces yourself. So that's the third way, and that's the way that I use. That's the way I teach other people to do, and I encourage you to try to do it, or to do it yourself. Don't just try it. I think I said that before. Don't try, do. Trying is not real. Trying doesn't really work. Subconsciously, that's the word you use when you don't really want to do it. I want you to really do self-hypnosis and see if that will help you with the things that you might be trying to change about yourself, some of the beliefs you have, some of the limiting beliefs you might have, or some of the lack of motivation that you have, where you just don't want to do the thing that you know you have to do. You have to do it, but you won't do it. You don't want to do it. that subconsciously it's stopping you. So you can use self-hypnosis to do that. Or you can go find a hypnotist that can help you with it. If you want to pay, you usually have to pay them though. So if you want to pay someone to do it, typically they know what they're doing. Like I said, if they're seasoned and they know the different ways, they'll be able to do it much faster for you. But self-hypnosis is just as good. It's free, and there's scripts out on the web. You can find them. And I can also do some videos in the future. I may post some extra videos of me hypnotizing you, so I can share my methods, and you can use some of the ways that I do it. And the ones I use myself, I'll just share them with you so you can use them too, because they're generic. It's not like I'm saying maverick. I just say you're going to go into a deep sleep. I don't say maverick, so I won't even use my name. I'll just say it generically so you can use it as well. And you know, it has value to you if you want to try it or do it. Don't try, do. Remember, don't say try. I keep saying that. I have to use hypnosis to stop saying try and start saying do more. I'm realizing right now I have to improve that about myself too. So anyway, I appreciate you watching. I hope this was helpful, and I encourage you to go out and try or do whichever one you want to do. I don't know if you know I'm hypnotizing you right now. I'm hypnotizing you this whole time. I don't know if you know that. If you're still watching, you've been hypnotized. And you're always being hypnotized all the time environmentally, the fact that you're watching this long. So thank you. I appreciate your attention. Now it's time for you to get on to something else. Scroll to the next video. Meanwhile, thank you, MavMind Collective. This is Maverick, and I will see you on the next video.